Thanks a lot, Bense. Thanks a lot, Anna, all organizer. Thanks to you to listen to me. Interesting finding wholeness, which is not searching for or looking for, find wholeness. If you reflect, what does it mean? Finding. We say too much words in our life. We run too much. And we forget that wholeness is there. We are at home always. There is no way to not be at home. And what we do? We look for something. I will try. All my life was, since I guess was the 86 when I had an experience with ayahuasca. Since then, I started receiving this biotrans energetics, which is something that happens to me. And I am used to receive maps and models. And this that I will share with you is the next, the last and more fundamental model I can reach. Of course, the only words worth saying are those that suggest silence. We are also used to practice, we meditate, we stay in silence, and then we go out and we leave. But in this way we separate. We like the term integral. By my side, I like the term integral transpersonal because I think that they should be together. But what does it mean, actually, to be integral and transpersonal? It means to remember that the silence is in any moment, the silence, the emptiness is here and is working. Means to realize the power of unseen, as William James say. The unseen is working. And what is that unseen that is working? This is the model, the Triunity. What do you feel? Tries to stay in contact with this. What emerge from your silence by looking? What do you feel? What do you think? Which attitude we take in front of this? I will try to share with you the process that explains this map, which is, I call the Rosetta Stone of transformation. Is underneath any process. Anything we are doing, even in this moment, there is this Triunity working. As if there are bacteria working when there is a disease, or the crystal have a structure, but we don't see the structure, we don't see the bacteria, but they work. So how to recognize? The first step should be, okay, if everything is emptiness, but we are in dialogue with this emptiness, with this God, with this wholeness. How to manage it? First of all, the zero, which is the metaphor of that wholeness, which is the metaphor of integral. Because maybe, of course, I guess you know that integral, the etymology of integral is not touched. Don't touch anything, and you are integral. How can we don't touch anything? Try to disappear, zero. Don't forget, first of all, zero. Whatever you want to do, whatever you think, whatever you live, any challenge you are facing, zero. Don't forget. Try not to forget that we are in there. Okay, but we are the zero. How we can bake by science this? But first of all, this is the archetype of archetypes. You know, no, the void, the potential, the emptiness, the supreme consciousness, and so. If you want to go to the side of material epistemology, the science, everything they say started with the Big Bang. The universe, galaxies and galaxies and galaxies. We are in. If we remember this, we get crazy. But this power is working. That unseen is working. We are here. If we remember this when we face our problems, problems, me. But if we go to the epistemology of consciousness, the science of consciousness, we forget, since the beginning of the time, all the wise men and wise women tell us what it is, this emptiness, this wholeness, the self, depending on which kind of path you are focusing on. You can call it self, psyche, Atman, Nagual, Akasha, Aurum, supreme consciousness, essence, foundation, emptiness, cosmos, God, zero, Tao, and so. We have everything to understand and to face this. Choose your. Okay, this is a practice to do. But of course, as Wilber also say, the emptiness is, we can avoid anything but the individual. Anyway, we are experiencing this wholeness. So the one, which is that one? Try to understand this one. This is in individuality, the singularity, the unity. We are, this is what appears on stage. So we focus with the one, because the zero is is beyond the stage. Think to the science, evidence-based, evidence are illusions. You base your science on illusion. If you forget the zero behind the essence. Okay, but we are dialoguing. Seems that the game is this, to dialogue. This one we are with this God, emptiness, essence. Again, we forget there is a story of humanity. Any tradition tell us something about this one. Plotinus, the one, the Brahman, Veda, Tawhid in the Quran, Adam Kadmon, Kabbalah, Atta, Anatta, Sanskrit, Gayomart, Zoroastrian, Ask and Embla, the Northern North, Enkidu, the Sumer, Manu, the Hindu, Pangu, the Taoism, Obatala, Yoruba, Prometheus and Pandora, Greek, Hut, Zulu, and so. So, how finding wholeness? How can we find this little point in that galaxies and galaxies? How we can manage this dialogue? First, don't forget that are we, me. Okay, this is a practice. Now we go in a process of developmental process of this ego, this I, this me, this individual. First of all, this zero, we experience this zero through the Ouroboros, the family, the culture, the parents, what they say, the enchanting of the parents. We are into the Ouroboros. This is the first step of our experience of God. If we start thinking that the unit of the experience is the doer, the feeler, and the thinker, we may know that when we are in the Ouroboros, we are separated. Or we feel, or we think, or we act. Think to integrate these three could be a starting point to master the Ouroboros. Also, this map could be useful. We have several bodies. I call these the organismic self. By mastering the content of the physical, energetical, emotional, mental, and spiritual body, we can master this dialogue. So we start to ask, I realize that I am in the cave. I realize that I am the Ouroboros. I have to go out. Start the process, the true process. Oh my God. Into the castle. It's easy, the comfort zone. Out of the castle. Of course, this is the development of our life, but also any process, daily process, is also this circle. What I do? Me who? This I, this point. Who I am? Which kind of sub-personality is on stage? Again, when I say me who? Which of them is me? I feel that I love you, or I feel that you don't respect me. Who is feeling that I don't respect you? Which kind of... So, and start the process of identify. The process will go to recognize the otherness. Who is this guy? Me and who inside me? And of course, start the conflict, the life, the duality, the word of reality. Reality means duality. It's not the truth, it's the reality. If we start to realize the more we keep together feeling, acting, and doing, the more observer can merge awareness. We can't want to be aware. If we master the dialogue of the five bodies and feeling, acting, and doing, by mastering this, puff, I become aware of something. Become aware of these two. Because I become aware of what? It is important that I become aware of that guy that is taking the lead, that come on stage, that feel what I feel, that think what I think, that act what I do. Okay, this is more complex. Go ahead. For example, this is the developmental process. We can follow the chakra, we can follow the dualism, we can follow also the 7 steps of stage and structures, the same. The first order that appears is the warrior. I have to survive first. Of course, if I identify with this order, I stay stuck into the 2, the survival. If I go beyond the dualism, live or die, I start going, and for example, I find the other one, the wounded child. I survive, okay, I survive, but I was wounded by the father, the mother, and so and so and so. Pleasure, the second dualism, pleasure and pain. I have to master the dialogue with this order, these 2, which is the wound, the trauma. And maybe I feel sad or depressed. Or I protect myself. Or this is the time to find my power, to find my place in the world. I want to disrupt everything, fight against, breaking boundaries. And here we could say archaic and mythic, archaic magic, mythological. Wishful thinking. I see the world as I want, as I wish. I put the shadow on the shadow and I just look at what I want to see. The wishful thinking. The reality is the fact more my projection. Or the power, again, if I overcome these phases of rebellion, then I get my power. I love you if you recognize my superiority. Business is business. And maybe I start developing the rational and the tool to win with you. The most developed way of thinking in this level is the critical thinking of the academia, which is good, of course. We have to pass through this, but we should also overcome this, because this is too. Because with critical thinking, we think on our thinking, try to master the shadow. But the shadow cannot manage it by thinking. I try to observe the fact. I observe better and better, try to say, this is the fact, means the evidence, means the illusions. So I put my critical thinking at service of illusion. Of course, I create ethical code. I guess the most developed system in our society, I think that is European Union, no? But what about the shadow? This is always a challenge. We are here, the third chakra, try to get the fourth. Actually, the true journey, hero journey, starts when I go beyond, try to go beyond the power. Self-affirmation, self-expression, self-realization. We are always into these two, working with the dualism to go beyond, We can use lateral or intuitive thinking. We have insight about our life. We get some light into the shadow. Perfect. I get insight from higher stage of consciousness, pluralistic, integral, and so. Or mindful thinking. I observe myself observing. Okay. And start the process of alchemic process of albedo, of rubedo, to get the light warrior. The spiritual ego, we are in the 7th chakra. Okay. Making the 2-1, the 3, go to the 3. The 3 happens, I call it the father mode, but I am not the only one, of course, the Tao, and anything that makes the 2-1 is the transcending and including the duality, the 3. But what is important to see that, for example, through the father mode, which means I get the stage and the backstage, I get what comes on stage, what there is on the backstage, by expanding my consciousness. So it's not 2, but it's 3. Me, you, and the field, the we space. Me, you, and the field around us. But important to say that this is something that is already happening. The Triunity tells us, the 3 wants to happen. Let it happen. The father mode or something like this tell you, try to align with the process. Recognize by the second attention what there is behind. In this moment I am speaking, you are listening. But this is not, this is too. I should be aware of the silence from where the words come. And you should be aware of what you are emanating to me. And what I am saying is depending of we. The Triunity in action. The 0, 1, 2, 3 is happening now. Is happening ever. Because it's the basic archetypes, 0, 1, 2, 3, are unreducible. There is no way to reduce something more than this. Think on that. There is no way. Any experience is 0, 1, 2, 3. But we, the I, focus on the 0, nothing important because I am enlightened. Or we focus on 1, I am the best. Or we focus on 2, the life is problem, our world is working, Or we focus on 3, I am the best meditator, I am the best. When we get the 3, we have to remember the 0, and always 0, 1, 2, 3 is the process. Our awareness get or the 0, or the 1, or the 2, or the 3. But being integral transpersonal, means to get. That 0 is the self. As Jung say, the self is the principle of unity, is the archetype of unity. And as the science of complexity tells us, the self or the organism is complex adaptive systems, which has the qualities like self-organization, self-transcendence, self-renewal. So the self is happening. While we are worrying with our problem, the self is happening. The self tells us, be aware of the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 0. Be aware of. This is a sort of pret-à-porter of any process of transformation. You can follow any path you know already, but this is something that can improve whatever you do, because this is happening if we are aware of. And again, the story of humanity tells us, make the two one, make the two one, make the two one. Not only when you meditate. Here and now, make the two one. Me, you, and the field. Stage and backstage, and the field. Now. I call this the trance. Always. The unity of the experience is always me, you, and the field. There is no way to escape. When I say the relationship, I'm saying something that is not completely exact, because we are not in relationship, we are in trance. How can we skip from the field here? Me and you, in this moment, are two, but the field is here. The power of the unseen is here. But we focus on stage, and we forget the backstage. Furthermore, tell us, first attention, second attention. What appears and what there is on the backstage is the unity. In this way, we will be integral. In this way, think to the integral theory, so incredible, so huge, but from where it comes? If I have to say something to Wilber is, but why you don't teach to people go to where you go, where you are when you take this? So I think that we should go in that place, which is the place of when we make the two one. Following Triunity, we go in that place where the flow of insight comes. I call it Triunity again. I call it transcognition. When we go beyond, when we get this higher level of consciousness, of thinking, pluralistic and so, the transcognition is in action, means we are thought by the self. Because we are always thought of something. We saw before the guys, I am thought by the rebel, I am thought by the little man, I am thought by the wounded child, I am thought by the warrior. We can be thought by the self. This is what I call transcognition. And there are some furthermore second attention and integral thinking is a way to respect Triunity, which is grounded on science, which is grounded on archetype, which is grounded of perennial philosophy and material science. We have something to stay at home, to find wholeness here and now, ever. Thank you.